I think every once in a while we all kind of drift off into our thoughts and into alternate realities where something didn't happen or when something else happened. You know, those pivotal moments where you find yourself at a fork in the road and you have to pick which path you're gonna take, and you have to suffer the idea of what it could have been if you had you taken the other direction. And I think it's a normal thing to discuss this. I think everyone goes through this, and it's a well discussed thing. I think, but I don't know. I find myself thinking about this a lot. And just the other day, a thought came to me: what if it never happened? What if this never happened? What if what if this didn't exist, or some things like that? And um, I just feel like I've gotten to this kind of maturity where there are certain things in my life that I don't wish were otherwise, that I don't wish didn't happen. It's a very weird way of putting it in words, but say I have an experience that kind of scars me emotionally, that in the moment was excruciatingly painful emotionally and to my spirit and to my emotional well-being, my mental well-being. I feel like I've right now I feel like I've gotten to accept that to the point where I imagine myself in an alternate universe where that didn't happen. And I compare that to me now, where I went through that experience. I'd prefer me now because I learned from that experience. And even if I can't directly name what I learned, I can't put it in bullet points and explain the lessons that I learned. If someone's going through the same thing, I probably wouldn't be able to give them advice. I still recognize that that has shaped me and shaped my character. And I feel like if it didn't happen, then I might not be the same person. I definitely won't be the same person, but I don't think I can imagine what I would be like if I would be better or worse. You know, maybe if I take out certain experiences, I'd be a better person, but I don't want to imagine that because why would I imagine a world where everything is better? Why would I imagine something unrealistic? I think that would be to go against nature, the nature of unfortunate things happening to you. I know I got that from a Stoicism book, so a Stoic idea that you can't contradict nature and you can't contradict what the world gives you. So imagining yourself in a perfect world or in an alternate reality where you are a perfect being, it's kind of it's kind of bad. It's not good. It's like you're contradicting nature and you're contradicting yourself. So is it with that line of thinking, is it logical to say that if you haven't accepted your past and you haven't accepted the things that happened to you and how that has made you into the person you are now, are you contradicting yourself? Are you contradicting the nature of how the world and how faith and God or the universe wants you to develop? I think this thing of destiny and fate, where the world will give you challenges, the world will put you through trials and tribulations to get you to what you want to be. Maybe that's true, and I think it's better to think that it is than not. They give you those things, and I fear that if I imagine myself without all that, I won't go anywhere. You know. And I've made lots of videos about change, or I've mentioned change a lot, and change is really something I feel close to now. I feel like I'm not afraid of change as much, and I feel like I don't want to be an immovable object, as one of my videos said. But another thing that I want to touch upon is reconciling with your past, but not recognizing what it really has done to you, and whether you are with that, if you like, or if you're satisfied with that. Um, a lot of flaws in people come from their past and their past experiences, and I think I've mentioned this briefly in the previous video, but um, imagine you've accepted something in your past, but you see exactly how it affects your character now, and you're not the same after that experience. But at the same time, you've kind of accepted it. Maybe with this kind of situation, you're faced with this change in your life or a change in character, and you realize what the downsides are, but you think that it's protecting you in some way. You, you experience something traumatic, you experience something that scars you emotionally, and you put up walls, you put up fences to defend yourself. You're more defensive on your own character. If you get angrier easily, you get impatient, things like this. I think everyone has these quirks, and everyone has negative things to them. But what I think it really is not kind of trying to not abolishing the negative things. I think it's seeing the light in them. And I think just say if you're an impatient person and you got that from an experience and you really can't shake it off, you're just a really impatient person by nature from just the culmination of things that you've gone through, that you can't wait for anything, then, you know, if you see the light in that and you kind of reframe it, then maybe you're just someone who wants to get things done and who does not want to wait for things that are slow, does not want to slow down for anything but themselves. And maybe if you're angry, usually anger is just channeling passion through some means that aren't really compassionate. Channeling rage or anger is just raw energy that you kind of put out so forcefully and in a just in a messy fashion. It's like maybe you have anger issues because you feel that everything that does not satisfy you is trying to attack you. Maybe you've gotten so defensive that your only defense mechanism is anger and lashing out at people and lashing out at things that you think are trying to slight you. You know, I think I think maybe the ultimate thing that I'm saying, like I feel like I'm saying it in every video now, just to be aware of yourself and discover yourself. I don't want to talk too much about that. I think I've mentioned that way too much. But this video is about what if it never happened. I think that if you reach a point of maturity where you can look at events in your past, where you can say that without, if this never happened, I wouldn't have been this, or maybe I would have been this if this happened, things like that. I think that's a great journaling thing to do. You look at different things that could have happened, and when you have something that you're down about that never happened to you, or something that you never did, then looking into the desire of that could mean something. Maybe you want that to happen because I don't know, if I was discontent about something in my past, then there's probably something unresolved that's keeping me from accepting it. That's I hope I'm explaining that well. I hope I'm making sense. Yeah, it's easy to look at the past and say this, but you know, how can I take this frame of thinking um, and point it forward and look into the future? I think thinking of the now, saying that you're able to embrace change, you're able to embrace your own past. You know, by the same token, you should be able to embrace your own future and not feel the need to defend the person that you are now. Because imagine you reach this point where, yeah, you've accepted your past and everything, but today, who you are, you think is good enough. And now you don't want to experience any more trials and tribulations. You don't want to go through any more hardships because you're afraid that your character at this moment will break and transform into something new. And I think that kind of contradicts your belief of accepting the past because looking at the timeline, right? Accepting your past is something you can do now, but something you can do for the future is let the future happen and accept it as it's happening. Because I think the only reason why people don't people look back at their past and don't accept it is because in the moment they were very distraught. In the moment they weren't accepting it. But so imagine the conveyor belt of time pushing you around, and as you're feeling these things, as these things are happening to you, you're in these experiences that might not be best, might not be in your best interest, and just so that you can save yourself the time of having to accept it in the future, you're accepting it as it happens. And I don't know, I feel like I've never heard anyone talk about it that way. I think just how you can apply the same advice of accepting your past to now so you can just expedite your time and have more time to yourself so you don't have to worry about trauma, you know? But I don't know, that's probably just hasty advice that is really not applicable. But I don't know, I think I'm just prompting people to mirror that advice of accepting your past to accepting your future as it's happening. Because I don't know, I've kind of developed this warped vision of time just from thinking about this, that you are currently a mirror of the past and present. And, it could be this picture of Dorian Gray situation where one of them is ugly, one of them is beautiful, one of them is ideally, I think I want it to be a perfect mirror between past and future, even though you can never really tell what the other side of the mirror looks like. And, sorry, I think that analogy is pretty confusing. Nonetheless, I think that was that video. I don't know. I also think you shouldn't get hung up on thinking about what if it never happened, because why would we think about things that don't exist, you know? But I do think it's a good practice. Just looking into your character, looking into what you think could have been. Obviously, it's not good to dwell on that. It's not really good to dwell on anything. But I don't know. I've had these thoughts, and a lot of ideas have come to me from that. A lot of revelations about my own character. Quiet revelations, I must say, because you'll get this thought, you'll get this idea from that, and you visualize something, and you realize you're better here now than you could have been. And that's it. That's it for this video. That was fun. I don't know. I feel like my videos are getting repetitive. I keep talking about the same thing, but that's because a lot of my motives and a lot of my thinking has been about the self. And I think I'm, being able to retreat into yourself, spending more time meditating with your own thoughts and things like that. You never really realize how deep it goes. You can go into yourself, spending so much time with people, trying to explain yourself to other people, but you never really try to explain yourself to yourself. You know what I mean? And I think that's my current obsession, just being able to get in my own thoughts, get in my brain, trying to break it down and analyze it without going insane. I think that's the plan. And yeah, that was that video, and I'll see you in the next one.